street. Save our steel! Save our steel! Come on, string it out, man. String it back. Come on, Jess, you gotta string it out. Save our steel! Save our steel! Save our steel! One more Kevin, one more Kevin. Slow it down in the front, get in the race. Not bad, it's looking worse now. The big dent in the middle, Jessica. Come on, sort it out. There you are. Now you can proceed.
42. 52. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, before I call up on the speakers, there's an important thing in front of me here that Cardiff office and some of the Landward Union boys have done. Every daffodil represents a worker from Landward that could lose their jobs. There's 300 daffodils here, representing 300 of the workforce in Landward. So every daffodil Tata wants to lose, and we're saying no. So take some reflection on that, because that is what their plan, that they want to lose from Landward.
Sorry.
And I think it's a pretty, important thing to look at, because when you see it as that, each one of them is a person. So, I'd like to call up on first the Vaughan Gethin, Business Minister of Wales, and possibly the new First Minister of Wales. Vaughan Gethin.
Well, thank you, Reg, and thank you to everyone who's come out here today as a practical mark of how we feel about the future of steel right across South Wales, including, of course, the Llanwern Works just up the road from where we are. And this is both a human challenge, it's an economic challenge, and it's a really political one as well. If you look at the 300 daffodils that Reg has marked out for you, each one representing a job that could be lost in the next 2 to 3 years. A person who could lose their job, their livelihood, a family that could lose their income. And the worst thing about all of this is that people know that this doesn't have to happen. People know as they go home, as they're anxious for their future, that an alternative is possible, and yet it could still happen. The deal that the Tories have done with Tata is the reason why these 300 daffodils are here. The reason why hundreds of workers are anxious for their future, and more than that, as Reg has said repeatedly, anxious for the future people who have yet to come into the works. So not just people with all of the life experience that Reg can tell you about if you have hours and hours on end, but actually the younger workers who have started there because they thought they were buying into a long-term future. A future with a good job, with good skills that would help them, their family and their community. I understand how anxious people are. I've met steel workers here in Llanwern, I've met steel workers in Trostre, in Port Talbot and in Shotton. I've met people who have been through redundancy and understand what it's like to go through that. To question your place, whether you can feed your family, find another job, and what it means in terms of the value you get from your work is more than your pay packet. It's everything else you get. It's the comradeship, and it's the self-worth you get from providing for people around you. And of course, this would be a devastating blow economically as well. For every single one of these daffodils, at least 3 more jobs in the local economy are reliant on them. So if Tata were to go ahead, north of 10,000 jobs would be lost right across South Wales. That's the scale of what would happen. And I don't think we're going to be able to replace those jobs at the same value within 18 months if Tata go ahead with their proposals. This is not a simple restructuring that people will find alternative jobs quickly. This could actually make a really big difference for a whole generation of people. And let's be clear, steelworkers and steelworking communities are not often the most well-off places in the whole of the UK. So this is being done to communities that actually deserve more support from our government. And the worst thing is, the cheapest deal for steel is not the best deal. I have long argued with the UK government that there is a different deal available. It requires more investment for more value. The jobs that we have today, the economy we have today relies on steel. Cans, cars, construction, steel made here in Wales helps to deliver all of those things. The economy of the future will see more steel being needed. Think of those giant offshore turbines that are going to power a green revolution. Well, that steel would either be made in Wales or be made somewhere else, but we'll still need steel for that to happen. We could export the steel, export the jobs, and import steel from other parts of the world. Steel that won't be made to the same high labour standards and environmental standards that we expect for the future of our economy. That is what is at stake. And if you want extra reason, if any of it was needed, to understand why we're here today, then look around you. Look at the people who work in that steelworks. Look at the people who are here, the families who are directly affected by the choices being made around us. And those people are the experts. When I've visited, I've listened and I've learned. Every single visit to Llanwern, to Trostre, to Talbot and Shotton, I learned something new. Because the experts are all around you. The people that understand how those machines work, how the plant works, what the future could be, what a better future could look like with investment in not just the plant, but investment in people. And it's the potential of steel for our future that is at stake as well. And the potential of people to make a difference in and for their community. I'm really proud to stand here as a representative of steel-making communities here in Wales. And I know that steelworkers themselves are proud of what they do. They're proud of the quality of the product they provide. They're proud of what it means for their family and their community. That pride, though, in itself won't get us what we need. What we need is everybody working together. And I should say, there is an opportunity for the Prime Minister to listen to the experts. If you're going to make a choice like this, to spend £500 million or more, you should have the decency, you should have the courage to actually come and listen to the experts, to sit down and listen to what it is possible to do. And I think the Prime Minister could finally do something useful. He could actually have that conversation and understand he could still make a difference. He could not be a remote figure sitting somewhere else, never understanding the life that people in this street ever have to lead, never understanding the devastation of losing your job, having to start again, wondering if you can afford your mortgage, look after your children or your grandchildren. He could actually come here and make a difference. If he won't, then the future relies on the next general election. It relies on there being an opportunity with a blast furnace still running down the road to save the 300 jobs that are represented in front of us. A genuine investment in the future of steel. How we can decarbonise, how we can make sure we don't have to cost the earth to make our own steel, and at the same time, how we make sure that Welsh workers' jobs and Welsh steel powers the future that is in front of us. That is a fight that is not just worth having, it is a fight that is well worth winning. I am proud to stand here with you today to make clear I have been with you and I will be with you in the future. A fight for all of our futures, the 300 daffodils, the 300 families, the thousands of families that are reliant on these, and much more than that, the future for Wales and the UK should be in our own hands. I look forward to fighting for a government that recognises that and will do that here in Wales and in Westminster too. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rob. Our next speaker has been an advocate of the steel industry, bringing up in Parliament, challenging Dodgy Rishi and his team. And I'd like to introduce Jessica Morden, Labour MP East, I believe. Just stepped all over the community flag as well, so she must be in Unite. That was a joke, Jason Bartlett.
I was getting the health and safety right there, I'd like to say, for Rob Edwards. It's great to see you all out here today to send a really, really strong message back that we need to love, cherish and protect our steel industry, and we really need to save our steel industry. I'd like to thank the multi-unions for organising this today, and I know there's one going on in Port Talbot as well. I'd like to thank you all for coming up, and I'd like you all to know that you have loads of political support here today, because you have the leader of Newport Council, Jane Mudd, and virtually all the councillors I can see. Also the council leader of Torfaen, Anthony Hunt, and lots of Torfaen councillors too. We have Senedd members from Isloin, from obviously Jane from Newport West, we have Ruth, we have John, we have everyone. I'm bound to have forgotten someone now, so I'll get into trouble, but you have loads of political support. And I want to acknowledge that whether you work in the steelworks, and let's face it, the average age of a steelworker in Llanwern has come down dramatically in recent years. I think it's about 34, isn't it, Reg? I can't remember. And these are really good, well-paid jobs in our communities, and we want futures for those people. So whether you work in the community, whether you work in Llanwern, whether your family work in Llanwern, whether you have a business or a job that's associated with Llanwern, and as Vaughan said, we know that for every job in Llanwern there are three times other jobs out in the community that are dependent on that. We want you to know that the steel industry may be part of a really rich part of Newport's heritage, and we're meeting outside the Westgate Hotel, home of the Chartist Uprising, but it's also part of our future. And we have to fight for a modern, vibrant steel industry for this city, for our country, and for our country's security. And that's what it's about, really, today. I think we have to send that message. We all know, I acknowledge how absolutely painful it must be for the uncertainty that Tata and the government have given to you. We feel strongly how difficult it must be and the uncertainty you are living with. And we know that because just a few short years ago we lost the orb, which was absolutely shameful. The government could have stepped in at the time at which the plant was under threat and helped, and it just didn't. And we lost that capacity to make electrical steel at a time when demand for electrical steel was just going to grow and grow. And we know that this deal that the government of Tata have come up with, as Vaughan has said, is a deal on the cheap. It's the cheapest way that they could possibly do it. And we also know that there is a credible alternative that's backed by the steel experts, that's backed by the trade unions, that's backed by the Labour Party. And we have to fight for that deal, because that deal acknowledges the right that we must save the capacity for primary steel making in this country, for our local jobs and our local economy, also for building our green infrastructure, as Vaughan said, for our security, and to stop us importing dirtier steel from halfway around the world. So that's what we're all here to do today. It's not the end. There's here today, there are people out in Port Talbot. I think Vaughan's going down to Port Talbot later on. We've got another debate, and we talk and talk and talk about steel, I tell you, in the House of Commons. And I know me and Ruth will be there on Tuesday when we have another debate about the Welsh steel industry. They'll be talking about it in the Senate and in local government too. So we'll all keep banging the drum, because ultimately we need to transition, but we need a just and fair transition that protects people's jobs. And if Tata and this government need to step up, but if they won't step up, particularly this government, then they must step aside for a Labour government that will step in and help, and that will help save our steel. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Before I call our final speaker, I've got to give a big ask for a round of applause, because you've got boys that have driven down from Teesside here today. You've got boys come down from Steel Park up in the Midlands and Birmingham, and we've got a few others as well that have come up from Port Talbot. So from behalf of myself and Landlord Lobby Union, thanks to Gavin, full-time official driven down from Birmingham, and that's what this is all about. It's a UK steel fight, and they're going to have it. Ladies and gentlemen, your next speaker, Ruth Jones.
Thank you so much, and it's great to see so many people here this morning showing that we will not go down without a fight. We are going to stand up and fight against this callous decision by Tata and the zombie UK government, which have just gone along with it because it's an easy life for them, it suits them. No, this is not going to happen. Newport West, okay, Llanwern's on Newport East, but Newport as a whole is united in making sure that we will fight these job cuts. We will fight for a better deal for steel workers, because it's so important. It's not just the steel workers today, we're fighting for the steel workers of tomorrow, because once things start to close, they won't reopen them. So it's really, really important. We stand together, we stand with you, as making sure, as elected representatives, as Jess said, we will fight. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm too quiet apparently. There we are. Oh, that's not like me. Right, I will make sure that we will stand up. As Jess said, in Parliament, we will fight for you. We will fight with you, alongside you. Because there is a better way. A UK Labour government would invest £3 billion in the green steel industry. We will do it gradually, and we will do it in a transitional way that would leave nobody behind. We saw what Maggie did to the miners in the 80s. That's not going to happen again. We will make sure that the steel workers are supported and protected. A UK Labour government will work in partnership with the workers and the trade unions to get that better deal, which we know is out there. It just takes a bit of work and a bit of thought. Something the UK government at the moment is sleepwalking into a zombie apocalypse. You know, it's really, really important that we make sure this is going to happen. So please be assured, we stand with you, we stand alongside you, we will fight with you. This is not the end, this is only the beginning. Keep going, we're with you.
Typical. Going to nick the mic then as well. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, firstly, again, thank you for turning up and sending a clear message to Tata Steel. We will not accept the export of our jobs for the import of dirty steel from India. That is what this is all about. It isn't about the green agenda, it's about pounds, shillings and pence. And I can tell you now, we will fight till the bitter end, and we will not let Tata take one of those daffodils. End of. Thank you very much, thanks for your support. Let's get it to run.